Welcome to Tell Me Your Story. New paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And welcome to Tell Me Your Story. I am Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, and my guest is Mark E. Scott, and we're going to talk about his latest work. Mark, first of all, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you here to talk about your latest book that is launched here in October, November, the last quarter of 2025. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the second chance.
Well, folks, you don't know what he's talking about, and I'll just share quickly that we, and again, Mark Scott, this is my philosophy. The harder it is to get a guest on the program, the better the interview is going to be. So this is going to be awesome, okay?
Well, I sure hope so.
This is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about your latest work, King of Peru, which, of course, as I mentioned, launches here in this final quarter of 2025. Yeah. And basically, it is a psychological thriller. I did fairly well in psychology, got a C, loved the course, just didn't do well in the classroom. But it's a psychological thriller where college students begin hearing voices that isn't their own, or his own, I should say, but that of Lope de Aguirre. Is that pronounced correctly? You tell me how bad was it? How bad?
Lope de Aguirre.
Lope de Aguirre.
Yeah.
He's basically one of history's most ruthless. Oh my goodness, what's happening to me? Conquistadors. And this is a fascinating. Is it your first novel?
No, this is actually the 5th one to be published, but it is the first one I ever finished. So this, yeah, I mean, so it's near and dear to my heart because after having made some abortive attempts at writing a novel, this one actually was the first one that I ever finished.
Well, congratulations to start with. You delve into some areas that we talk about on this program all the time. We could give a brief synopsis, but I want to know if the book is available in Audible yet.
No, sadly, the book is not yet available. It'll be the week after Thanksgiving. I had many discussions yesterday with the publisher, and it came down to a delay due to artwork and a little bit of editing. But yeah,
well,
but it'll come out after Thanksgiving.
Excellent. And it deals with some of the topics that are dealt with in this particular novel: friendship, faith, and this is fascinating. The fragility, or the fragile line, if you will, or the fragility between reality and delusion, as Lewis Black would say. You're in a delusion. It's not real. Tell us about because the subject, these particular items are important to us, especially here on Tell Me Your Story when we talk about community. That's what we are about here. New paradigms for a new world. We're giving people choices and knowledge of those choices to help make their dreams come true. And we don't do it alone. Okay. As much as someone would like to say, I made it to the top all by myself. No, you didn't.
No,
Nobody gets anywhere in this world by themselves, unless you were born and left on an island somewhere out in the middle of the Pacific. Okay. Maybe you might survive. It requires the connection between human beings. Talk to us about, first of all, your perspective, your definition, your experience with the first one, friendship.
well, I would say my experience with friendship is similar to everyone else's. You're growing up, and those friends that you have as a young teen or even older teen are going to be some of the most profound that you ever have because of the way, you're still unformed, you're developing philosophically and physically, and those relationships are what are gonna define you to a degree for the rest of your life. To your psychology class, which you got a C in, the there's some belief that your whole personality is done forming when you're three. So I think after anything, but I think that's just basic personality traits. It's not everything that goes into making up a human being. So yeah, my friends, do I still talk to college friends? No, I moved on years ago.
However, the friendships that you developed in college were important enough. They were important to the extent that they helped you and you helped them in whatever fashion, maybe not in studying per se, but just in being there for one another, even if it is just camaraderie, not necessarily, hey, my dad just died, my dog ran away, I have cancer, on and on and on and on. Not necessarily that stuff, but just the fraternity, if you will, not
Hmm.
necessarily being in one, but that can, or maybe you were. I was
No,
not.
it's not. No.
No, but that they were there during a period in your life where you needed them, and then when you moved on, they moved on. All right, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
served you, and now you've got a whole new set of friends and acquaintances and so forth.
certainly. Yeah. The transition, I was in the Navy before I went to college at Miami of Ohio. Surprising, surprise, surprise. Um, and transitioning from a military life to a college life is not easy because the outlook of the individuals are so vastly different. And so for about a year, it took me about a year to even like college students because they would bitch and moan about things that I thought were just the smallest of problems. But, if I'm being honest, there were just problems that they hadn't dealt with yet. And for every problem that's a first time, it's a big deal. So, but yeah, getting me through 4 years of college I had a small cohort of friends that were always there and going through the same things I was going through.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I tell you, a couple of years ago, I experienced a couple of losses. One, of course, my father, but and not by any means, they're not on the same level. They're in different categories. My best friend, I met him in sixth grade, and we connected and contacted and communicated for 53 years until he passed away
Wow.
of a heart condition due to COVID. a couple of years ago. One of the things that is fascinating about that departure, I like to call it, okay, as opposed to my father, my sister, several dear friends. I had a wonderful, crying session over my father when he passed and so forth. But my best friend, I can't, I can't shed a tear. He and I, we had too much fun together to cry over his departure,
Hmm.
you know? To me, when you're able to say that, and then with my father, setting all of that other stuff aside, the one beautiful thing I can say, and I hope others can say about their fathers, there was nothing left unsaid when he passed. It's like, oh, I regret not having told him this and that and the other thing, because the night before he passed away, I was on the phone with my wife with him, got to see him. We had video phone, which was great.
Sure.
And we both told each other how much we loved each other. He told me how proud he was of us, and so on and so on and so on. And, we got along really well. If I might ask, because that is a crucial relationship in our lives, especially as guys, our fathers. Can you share a little bit about the connection that you have with your father?
Yeah,
And
well, I was sort of relating to what you were saying. The um, My father died when I was 35. He was just 63,
mm,
and um, it was drawn out over 12 years,
mm,
and then sped up the last 6 months. And my family, my wife and kids, and I moved in with him to help him through his last day. Um, but yeah, I mean, our relationship when I was a teenager was more difficult. And then over time, as we got to know each other, it became easier and uh, much more normalized and very close.
mm,
Um, but he was always a guy who played his cards very close to his chest. His wife had to threaten to tell us about the cancer because it had gone 6 or 7 years without telling us. So I'm not sure everything was said before he passed, but enough was.
mm. You know, the year prior to my father's passing, I flew back to Phoenix for my eldest sister's memorial, his eldest daughter. And he and I had a little interesting interaction. My brother, younger brother, he's the jokester in the family. I can say something that people might laugh at, but I'm not necessarily trying. But he is always working at trying to just be cute, be witty, be sharp, and so on and so forth. Well, we had gone to the memorial, and I came back with my mother and sister and niece and so forth. But when we left, my father saw my brother and I get in the same car. So when we came back, my dad says, "Where's your brother? Where's your brother?" So I thought I'd be cute. And back then, gas prices were what they were. And I said, "Well, Dad, I hate to tell you, we had to sell him in order to put gas in the car." Oh, he was madder than a wet hen. Oh, he says, "When I ask a question, I want an answer." So I apologized for trying to be cute. And I told him where he was, and he'd be home shortly. So later that evening, as I am making up the couch, because my brother got there before I did and got the spare room, I'm making up the couch, and my dad walks into the room and he apologizes for getting so upset. And I turned to him and I put my hands on his shoulders. Now um, he was now shorter than I. He was stooped over almost like a question mark, not quite that far, but nonetheless. And I looked him squarely in the eyes and I said, "Dad, I love you and you will always be my dad, and we are good." And I gave him a gentle hug. I didn't want to break him.
Hmm.
He was
Hmm.
91. Okay. And that to me showed so much of who he was, because he was willing to cut. He didn't have to, because I was the one that was trying to be cute and he didn't appreciate it. But he came in and apologized for his side of the interaction. And I mean, that just spoke volumes to me. It was just incredible. Um, I have an older sister who she and I communicate a lot, and she has been there as well. I mean, it's almost like she's almost taken over the father role for me anyway, in terms of encouraging me when my wife and I, my present wife and I, went through this 2 month process of buying a house here up on the mountains, west of east of Los Angeles. And I find those family connections are just, I don't want to lose those. What about you shared a little bit about your father. What about your other family members? Is there still a somewhat of a close knitness, or have you had some passings and so forth? What's that dynamic like for you? Because these are the kinds of things I'm asking you about that have shaped you and the work that you're doing as an author.
Yeah, well, I have three siblings, all of whom are still on speaking terms. So um, I'll be spending Thanksgiving at one of their houses in Indiana. Mom is still alive and lives a block from me here in downtown Cincinnati. So she, she's doing quite well. Um, in fact, she went to the symphony last night and walked over. I watched her dog for
Hmm.
her. So yeah, I mean the immediate family's close. We just lost my father's older brother,
Mm.
who made it to 92, I think. Um, but I did get to see him this summer, and I had not seen him for years. But we went to sort of a family reunion organized by one of my cousins in outside of Chicago. And so I was very pleased that I saw him before getting the news the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're um, tight knit. As an extended family, we've never been tight knit.
Hmm.
As an immediate family, I would say that's more regular on and off, keeping in touch with you. We kind of have a sense what we're all up to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the one that's not real tight knit. I have been horrible at remembering birthdays, even of my brother and three remaining sisters. I remember my mother's because my father told me years ago, you forget Mother's Day and her birthday, and you will be hearing from me. So I remember my mother's birthday. She gets shocked every once in a while when she receives a card or flowers or what have you. But I just, for whatever reason, when we go to family reunions, I'm not sure how many you've been to, but I mean, there are aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and cousins to the second and third and fourth power. I'm sorry, what was your name again? That
Oh
kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, sure.
So it's a challenge to remember, but I'll tell you what, it's sure nice to have them there, even if it's just for moral support, because they know who you are. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm on Facebook, and I every once in a while will see a posting from one of my father's side of the family relatives, or even my mother's, and so forth, or one of my sister's sons. Uh, it's quite remarkable. But I want to go into another area. I will go into that area in just a moment. We are talking with Mark Scott, author of King of Peru. Yeah, we'll find out more about the king, how he got crowned, and then some. We'll find out about the illusions that are referenced in the book as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I am Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D. He is Mark Scott, and his book is King of Peru. We'll get into the next level of questions I have for you, but I would love for you to give us, without giving anything away. God, we don't want to go to the last page and say the butler did it. Oops, sorry, spoiler alert. But give us a little synopsis of this particular work, and is this like volume one of maybe a trilogy, or is this like kind of a standalone work, novel?
I'll take the last question first. I have no intention of writing it as a series, so it's a stands by itself,
Okay.
beginning to end. I mean, you never know if I get bored in the future and I run out of ideas for books, I'll, write a sequel. Um, the the overall story is essentially a schizophrenic Marine, starts school at Miami University of Oxford, Ohio. He's struggling to fit in. He's older than, your average student and has a very different background as, having been a Marine rather than just a college student. But he discovers a character who truly existed in history, Lope de Aguirre, who wanted to be King of Peru. And he starts talking to him, and only he's the only one who can hear Lope. And Lope starts trying to convince him to pick up where he left off when it comes to becoming King of Peru. So throughout the book, he's talking to Lope, and no one else is aware of it.
Mm. You do know that there are those of us, myself included, who, I mean, I talk to my dad all the time. All right.
Well, I actually bring that out in the
Yeah.
storyline. His roommate is religious and comes from a religious family, and he talks to God all the time.
Okay.
Um, so that's sort of part of the juxtaposition is, is he really talking to him or is he not really talking to him? And what about the rest of us who are talking to our ancestors in our heads or out loud? As you walk around your house and you say, "Damn it, Dad, I know you used to remind me of this stuff."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's sort of based on our own behaviors that are quite natural to nearly everyone, only it shines a light on schizophrenia in a darkly humorous way, I hope. And um, how that might be a tad different than me talking to my dead grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah, to me it's fascinating the conversations we have. I have on occasion, of course, talked with my sister. The morning that I received the phone call, I thought they were going to tell me that mom or dad had passed, but it turns out it was my eldest sister. And after I got off the phone, uh, I heard her voice
Hmm.
basically say, "Hey, Richard, hey, everything's okay. Everything's okay." And I thought, okay, all right. And I wasn't surprised per se. It was just, oh, hi, you're there. Okay. Um, my father, I get impressions. I don't necessarily hear his voice, although I had the great privilege of interviewing my mother and father 10 years ago on this program.
Hmm.
And I still remember many, many of the things that he said about so many different things, like talking about friendship and how important that was to them, and so forth. And we talked about a bunch of other things as well, including a conversation about faith. Now, my mother was born and raised Catholic. My father was Protestant. He converted when they got married, and they raised us Roman Catholic. But they also wanted us to ask questions, to be curious, and I have been. I am now more of a metaphysician. I never left the Catholic Church. I think the best example of that was in the 90s, I became a Baha'i, a member of the Baha'i faith. So I wrote this letter to the church saying that I would like my name removed from the rolls. So I go into the rectory of the church where I was born and raised and baptized and had communion, confession, and all of that stuff. And I said, I would like to have my name removed from your rolls. And they took my letter and they said, no, okay, we'll put this letter in your file. And of course, I spouted off going, you and the FBI have a file on me? But I thought that was very interesting that it was like they will never think of me as other than Catholic, whereas I will always think of myself as Catholic and Jewish and Buddhist and Hindu and Muslim and Baha'i and whatever other research that I do, Jewish too, whatever research that I do, because I'm curious about all of these other paths that are out there. I'm curious about your path and how you began your path and where you are today, especially in light of, again, what you've written, because it sounds to me there are certain little smidgens of autobiographical information in the novel, as you were just mentioning
Right.
about. Can you talk to us a little bit about your background philosophically, as I like to put it?
Sure. Well, I mean, those religions you mentioned, I've got a touch of all that also, especially Buddhist, which I find very comforting. But I actually converted to Catholicism from being raised a Presbyterian.
Hmm.
Um, but the Navy was a huge growing experience for me. I was I got lucky enough to be in a group of friends who were all heavy duty readers, small time philosophizers. And we would just trade books. When your ship's underway, you have a lot of time to read.
Yeah.
Especially there was no interweb back then, so you had to actually read books. And and so got into, as I said, um, varying and sundry religious examinations. Buddhism seemed to be something easy to believe in, um, because it's all based on the individual. And well, it's sort of like an existentialist. You're on your own, which once you believe you're on your own, your behavior vastly changes and you become more responsible. So I think I converted to Catholicism because their churches are so much prettier than everyone else's. And it occurred to me that an organization that has survived 2,000 years is worth knowing more about.
Hmm.
So that's how I got. But I'm a good Catholic because I rarely attend. I rarely attend anymore. Yeah.
Well, they say that there are, I think it's three times most people will attend church. Um, you're hatched, i.e., baptized.
Hmm.
You get married, and then you're dispatched.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. There's a rhyming in there somewhere, but needless to say, I find it also very interesting because you're talking about these voices. Now, we promote on this program, every program, we encourage people to spend time during this, the decade of perfect vision, the 2020s. And we ask people to spend some time going within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still small voice. And of course, I'm referring to our intuition. Some might even call it the divine. You know, you can give it whatever
Hmm.
name you wish.
Sure.
I call mine my friend. And my friend talks to me a lot. And if I'm listening, I benefit from listening to my friend. But here we have a situation in your novel where Matt is hearing this one voice of the King of Peru. And I'm sure at first it's like, where is that coming from? Who is talking here? I think I'm going mad. You know, we make that self-evaluation like we're qualified, clinicians.
Well, he actually never considers that there's something wrong with him. He thinks that the spirit is actually speaking, and is very real and is speaking to him. And before writing the character, I checked with a number of professionals, and it's very common for a schizophrenic not to diagnose their own schizophrenia.
Mm,
So one of the characteristics is that a schizophrenic will identify a problem that no one else seems to realize is a problem. And since they're the only one who can identify it, they must be the one to fix it,
mm.
no matter what that problem may be.
So are we saying with again, I don't want to give anything away here. Okay, no
Uh-huh.
spoilers here. Matt is aware that he is schizophrenic, or
No, no, he's
thinks
not.
he thinks maybe because of this voice.
No, he has no, it
Not at
doesn't
all.
occur to him that there's anything wrong with him. At
Okay.
one point, he asked his roommate and only real friend. If if God ever talks back to him, yeah, and his buddy says, no, I talked to him and he doesn't really have anything to say to me. But no, so it's yeah, schizophrenic apparently does not self-diagnose.
Okay.
They
Just
just think whatever is happening is what's supposed to be happening.
yeah. Well, I know too that some people hear these different voices. There would be those who are guided to do pretty horrific things, and there are those who are guided to
Right.
do pretty magnanimous things, incredibly, wonderfully amazing things that help other people in that respect. And I know that when we tap into that still small voice, as is referred to in the Bible, um, if we will listen and follow the promptings, because I've often said, if you're listening and not following the promptings, why are you listening? Why do you even bother? But at the same time, I would say if you're listening and not following the promptings, I would highly recommend that you follow the promptings because my belief is, Mark, that that voice, it will not put you in harm's way. Might challenge you, but it won't put you in harm's way.
Well, hopefully it's not sending it up to the top of a bell tower.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Harry Chapin's got a great song about that, The Sniper, about that very, and it was actually a song about a true story about a guy goes up into a bell tower, and he's asking the question, and the question is in a manner of speaking in the bullets that he's firing into these people. But let me ask you about your experiences, for example, with your still small voice or your intuition, your gut feeling. Is that something that you trust? Is that something that maybe guided you to write King of Peru?
My mom has told me one time, if you're not doing what the universe wants you to do, you find out real fast. So it's not always easy to understand what decision you're supposed to make, but
Yeah.
if you make the right one, you tend to be rewarded for it.
Hmm.
Good things will happen.
Yeah.
So some things are obvious and become more obvious over time, some, decision processes and that sort of thing. But if you're presented with a new situation, we all have a sixth sense, so to speak. And if I'm in, it's like when you're a little kid and somebody in a van stops and they want you to help them look for their puppy. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's the sixth sense that will save that 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Um, and I think if we probably shut it out after puberty, until we learn to find the voice again
Mm.
or find that sixth sense again.
We're talking with Mark Scott, his latest work, King of Peru. And you can go to markscottauthor.com to find out more about him. And also, hopefully, not too far down the road here, we will find out about the Audible version. I love listening to Audible, I swear. Well, see, here's the thing, Mark. As a kid growing up, I was legally blind. And
Oh,
the way I read, I could see. I was bicycling all over town. Don't get me wrong. I could see,
uh-huh.
I'm sure to my parents' consternation, for a while anyway, because I would always come home. I was always okay. I listened to books on talking books for the blind and recordings for the blind. One was for textbooks, and the other was for leisure reading. And I used to build models. So I'd put on the record back then when I was in my late single digits into my preteen and teen years. They shifted over to cassette, but initially they were on record and they went at 1 7/8 inches, revolutions. And it was great. And I would listen to all kinds of, I finally I was allowed to listen to The Godfather. They wouldn't let me at first because,
Hmm.
it's pretty heady stuff. I mean, if
Hmm.
you've ever seen the movie.
Sure.
Autobiography of a Yogi, I listened to over and over and over and over again. It's my metaphysical primer, by the way, and many other books. So then when Audible came along, and by the way, I used to record books for my first wife, who was totally blind. And I recorded Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Jampolsky and the Celestine Prophecy by James Redford.
Yeah.
And
Well, my first question is, how did
yes,
two blind people find each other?
That's a good question. And I'll go ahead and answer that real quickly. I went to work for Sun Sounds Radio Reading Service for the blind and visually impaired. That was my first experience in radio. That's how I got into this business.
Okay.
And in 1982, in the fall, I was going through a rough period. I was living on my own. I'd moved out of my parents' house. And my best friend, who worked in bookstores, he worked at Walden's and B. Dalton's and all of the chains, not only in Phoenix, but also he went to Texas. He went to New York City. That was fun. And that November of 82, he gave me a copy of Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Miracle in the World.
Hmm.
And I read it. And I said, I have to record this for the radio station. And I had my own reel to reel and microphone, whole setup. They let me do it. I still have the reels, by the way. I want you to know that. I
Wow.
still have the reels and the machine. And they played it the week of Christmas that year. The final episode, which was 4 episodes, aired on Christmas Eve. And she heard it and called the station the next week and wanted a copy of it. And so I ran off a cassette copy and I said, I'll deliver it to her. And so I bicycled over and I gave it to her. And that's basically how we met. And we were literally less than, no, it was January I met her. July 3rd of 2000, of 1982, we were married.
Hmm.
All right.
Wow.
Sadly, of course, in 99, we were divorced, but life ebbs and flows, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But I don't regret marrying her because we had a lot of fun together as well as my present wife and I. Uh, I don't know about you. I don't know if Cincinnati is your final resting place. Ireland is mine, and I got to get there. So somehow from California, I got to work my way all the way across the country and across the Pacific, the Atlantic.
I love Ireland. It's a
Oh,
good place to go.
oh,
I'm thinking Spain might be my final resting place, though.
oh, I tell you. And I would guess that's maybe part of the reason, although I don't know how I'm connecting Spain and Peru, but they're sort of Latinesque, if you will. I
Spanish
guess.
language, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. So I can certainly understand that, and it's fascinating to me what we are drawn to. I want to talk to you about that, but first I want to remind you that you're listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. I'm Reverend Dr. D. Stay with us. This is Tell Me Your Story. Mark Scott is with us. He has written a novel. It's a psychological thriller called King of Peru. Go to markscottauthor.com. We'll be linked to that website so that you folks can find out more about Mark and the work that he does as well. I want to ask you in regards to uh, the historical attributes in King of Peru.
Mhm.
Are they historical attributes of a fictional nature, or are these things that you've sort of pulled out of the history books and incorporated? I know a lot of people love to do that.
No, Lope is a real person, has his real story, and I think I related in the book very truthfully. Yeah, it's crazy enough that you don't really to make anything up.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the beautiful things about history. Certain periods in our history. I remember in the mid 1980s during the Iran-Contra hearings, that was a phrase that was used by people that I was talking with in Phoenix, where I was working at the time. They said,
You can't make
Hollywood
this.
Hollywood couldn't write this. This is just too crazy, you know. But I would have to say that that is nothing compared to what's been going on the last 12 years in this country. It's just like, really? And now I don't know about you, but I've gotten to the point where when I do listen or watch the news, which is very rarely because I don't need to get bogged down in my head and the monkey mind going, but I see something that's going on. I'm not surprised anymore. Nothing shocks me. Nothing. Um, but it's just an amazing thing. So, can you give us a little background on this on Lope, the King
Sure,
of
yeah,
Peru,
he's
the historical aspects of him?
he was in the second or third wave of would-be conquistadors, going into South America in the 16th century, and started off as a low-level functionary, got into some trouble, decided to try his hand at conquistadoring, and ended up, in I think Venezuela or the islands thereabouts, all the way to Peru, where they were trying to form a government, and there was too many Lopes running around. So they said, "Hey, you guys, we're gonna fund this trip down the Amazon. You guys just go look for uh, what's the city of gold? What's the city of gold called?"
Oh my goodness. You know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't think
Okay,
of
it'll
it.
come to
No.
me. I'm
Okay.
having a brain an aneurysm, but the
Please no.
um, oh, El Dorado.
Elder. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So, hey, go find El Dorado because nobody's found it yet. And El Dorado was a myth made up by Indians to get rid of the Spanish.
Ah.
So the villagers go, "Oh, the Spanish are here looking, and they're going to rape and pillage. So let's tell them, it's down the road." Um, so the would-be Spanish or Hispanic government of Peru said, "Hey, let's try the same thing. It seemed to work all these other times." So they put together about 300 men, built boats for them, sent them down the Amazon. Lope was not in charge of this, at least not at first, but he killed enough people that he ended up in charge of the expedition and made it all the way to the end of Amazon on the island of Margarita, which I don't think had been invented yet, and except maybe the pizza, but the and and said, "Hey, let's go back and take over Peru." Well, word got out and they sent word back to Peru, "Hey, these guys are coming back, the boomeranging back from the Atlantic or the, Southern Caribbean back to, headed to the west coast of South America." And a government force was waiting for them when they got to the border.
Mm,
And so it was, I think they had twice as many men or some large number more than Lope had with his 300 guys, and they offered everybody immunity who would offer to come and fight on their side. So overnight, everybody decided that was the way to go, leaving Lope alone in a hut with his daughter, who somehow the only historical record is that she was there, but he kills her before he's taken capture, and then they hang him. I think they hung him or slit his throat. Then they draw and quarter his body, send the four pieces around Peru to kind of show people what happens if you mess with the Peruvian government.
Lord.
So tragic end to a tragic story, but
Uh, wow. That's they're serious. They're very serious. Oh
they did not
my.
mess around with law and order back then.
No, no, they did not. And we don't either, apparently. And it's just very interesting how each part of the world deals with misbehavior. Sometimes it's not a crime. It's just that they didn't like what you did. That's
Oh,
all.
sure. And you can back then, if you were the king, you could make anything a crime.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
breathed in my direction, off with your head.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say that in the medieval period in Britain, drawing and quartering was not done after they were killed. That was
Right.
how they were killed. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my Lord. And
Well, at least
usually,
he had that going for him. He
no,
didn't get pulled into four pieces before, and I have to experience that. Of course, I'm not sure hanging or whatever and I have to look it up again, but I know they killed him before they chopped him up. So,
I would much rather be strapped to what they call a trebuchet, which is a
Oh,
giant
sure.
slingshot, and hurled maybe out to sea or over the hillside or something, because I might stand a chance of surviving.
Or into
Maybe.
the side of a castle, like in a
Oh,
Monty Python movie.
oh man. Yeah, I hurling cows and pigs and
Right.
other animals.
Fetchy lavash.
Oh, it's a wonderful, what a wonderful thing we've developed, right? Hey, we're talking with Mark Scott. He's got a book. It is called King of Peru. We hope you'll get a copy. Go to Mark Scott markscottauthor.com. We'll be linked to that website, and we will continue here on Tell Me Your Story.
Should
Mark,
be
this
Mark
has
Scott.
been a lot of fun. Beg your pardon?
Oh, it's probably Mark E. Scott,
Mark E. Scott. All right.
author.com.
Don't forget the E in the middle there, folks. Mark E. Scott. I'll double check that website here in just a moment so that we can make sure that we have it correct. And he is correct because it's his website. Mark E. What's the E stand for?
Edward.
Edward. Kind of thought. MarkEScott.com. That is the website. Please check it out. Check out the book, which is, it has dark echoes of history that haunt college life in Mark E. Scott's new book, King of Peru. Um, I want to ask you a little bit about this concept of the haunting of buildings. And obviously, obviously, must have done some research in that regard. My wife and I just moved into a house that was built in 1979, which was, by the way, the year I got into this business. I was
Wow.
19. And I have touched base with individuals who have the ability to pick up on things like that. And they pick up on more of the house itself. And they say, "Oh, the house likes you too. Matter of fact, thinks that you're cute." And I'm sorry, say what? The house thinks I'm cute. Oh, okay, fine.
It's a
But
grill house,
it must
perhaps.
be. It must be. So I'm curious about this aspect of haunted houses and so forth. And I know there have been movies and books and on and on and on. And there are people who will actually take all kinds of incredible equipment into these houses. Why did you incorporate that aspect into this particular novel, into the college buildings?
I'm not sure how much of that is in there. The, Miami's an old university. It's been around since the early 1800s.
Hmm.
So I think many of those buildings still stand. The building I live in downtown Cincinnati is 160 years old.
Wow.
So when it comes to haunting, if it's real or not real, I'm not ready to make that determination at
Okay.
all. I do kind of believe in Einstein, E equals MC squared. You can destroy energy, or you can't destroy matter or energy. You can only convert it.
Hmm.
So I was having this discussion the other day. What happens, to that energy, to our energy when our body dies? I don't know. And so far, as far as I can tell, nobody's come back with a full report on
Yeah.
on what happens
Yeah.
when it's our turn. So um, I, I, going back to a haunting or when you think a house is cute, I think we go back to the sixth sense. You can walk into a building and know if you're comfortable there or not.
Yeah.
You may not be able to determine what's making you comfortable or uncomfortable, but you know if you are.
Hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
and I think that, as I said, that speaks to this sort of the sixth sense that we pick up on stuff that we're not necessarily consciously aware of. And
Yeah.
then we try to give meaning to it because we have these big human brains
Yeah.
that are always at the ready to explain, you know, the stuff we don't understand.
Have you ever had, I'm going to throw out a couple of different terms here, a paranormal or spiritual experience of that type where maybe because you're a guy like me, you're going to keep that one to yourself because you don't need the ridicule and all of that kind of stuff. but it changed you. It made a difference in who you have become.
To the best of my knowledge, I never have. Ridicule doesn't scare me, so that's no problem.
Okay,
The,
good.
the, you know, I have had, I think we've all had life-changing experiences, and mine happened in a bar in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
So, yeah, where I was treated so well by someone, a stranger, that I knew that the kind of person I wanted to try to be from that moment on. And he called it karma, as he's literally helping me out cash wise, because I'd been left behind by a buddy at this bar without enough money to get back to base.
Oh,
Um, and so there's plenty of sailors in the bar, so I started, hey, are you going back to, fill in NOB, which is the short name for the base I was on, Naval Operating Base, and the one guy said, "Yeah, I'm headed back, but I'm trying to make some time with this girl here, so let me buy you a beer." And he ended up buying me three or four beers and then offering me enough cash to get back. And I said, "Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "Well, I feel like I will get it back. I feel like you deserve it. You've done something good for somebody, and I'm sort of the mouthpiece for the whatever that is." He goes, "But yeah, I don't feel weird about this at all." He goes, "This will come back to me."
yeah. Paying it forward.
Yeah, yeah. So I've never forgotten that, and I would say that's as close to any spiritual experience I can name.
Yeah. Well, that still is quite profound in terms of it's changing you and saying, "Hey, that's the kind of guy I want to be," and I feel the same way. I don't like to turn people away. And my best friend of 53 years, he called me one day. He was homeless. I couldn't believe it. But he
Hmm.
was still living in his hometown, my hometown, Phoenix. And I said, I don't have anything I can send you, but what I can tell you is that you still have a network of people there who care about you, and you need to contact one of them and ask them if maybe uh, for a short time while you get back on your feet, could you maybe just sleep over in the corner in their garage or something, at least something. He did that. One of his good friends let him actually turn their garage into his bedroom, and he got himself back up on his feet. He went back to work and so on and so on and so on. And sometimes that's all we've got. Sometimes money isn't always the answer. And sometimes with
Hey, I
that
had a similar
network.
experience on a Saturday morning where a friend of mine from Cincinnati shows up at the gate of the naval base, and I get a call from the front gate, "Hey, this guy's out here asking for you." I had I hadn't seen him for months and months. He had
Mm,
gone, oddly enough, to Arizona with another guy, and he was broke. He was out of money.
mm,
So I got him onto the ship where he was able to shower and clean up, and then found a place for him to stay overnight and bought him a bus ticket back to Cincinnati the next day. So luckily, I was able to help with those small things. Bus tickets were not terribly expensive back then.
yeah.
Of course, neither was my income.
Well,
So and he too ended up back on his feet and
yeah.
working hard.
And
So
sometimes it is the little things that we do. It isn't the magnanimous things. Here's $1 million and go have a life. Sometimes it is just a hand up, or a kind word can make all the difference in the world. I tell people that wherever you are working, and especially, let's say in the medical field in particular, I've had people who can't seem to understand that their life's purpose while working in the medical field is to help those patients to feel comfortable, to keep them calm. You have no idea. I even use the example of a businessman who comes in and has to do a bunch of tests. Let's say he's got a heart condition. He's got to go in and do a bunch of tests. And then he's got this meeting that he's got to go to. And he is not a happy camper. But if you, the one in the medical field, can bring him down a couple of notches out of that frustration and that anguish and so forth, and maybe make him laugh, chat with him a little bit that relieves some of that stress and tension. He goes through the tests and he leaves there feeling a whole lot different than when he walked in. Now he goes to this meeting, and now that meeting takes on a whole new dynamic and in a positive way. Who knows, maybe he was going to go fire a bunch of people because he was really upset. But when he calmed down, he reevaluated and realized, "Oh, I don't need to fire anybody. We just need a little management time. We need to have some guidance and so forth." We don't know the impact that we're going to have on the people around us. And that's why I love James Redfield in Celestine Prophecy talks about how we have messages one for another. And sometimes those are the kinds of messages that
Mhm.
we need to share to help
Yeah, I'd
people.
like to think there's such a thing as the collective subconscious.
Yeah.
We're all interconnected in one way or another.
I think it's Jung, isn't it, who says that there is only one mind in the universe? That's what you're referring
That
to
sounds like
too.
something he would say.
Yeah. I haven't studied him well enough to know, but I do remember that quote.
Right.
Fascinating stuff. Mark E. Scott, markescottauthor.com is the website. King of Peru is the title of the novel, and we hope you'll get a copy available on Amazon as well. And you are listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. Mark, this has been a fascinating conversation. I've really enjoyed this. It's gone in directions that, as I always say, the universe asks the questions. I'm just along for the ride. But I'm also thankful that I was given a very curious brain, curious mind. And I love these kinds of conversations. And I hope that your book is very successful. I hope people will pick it up and read it. I'm curious. I always ask this of people who've written novels such as this. Do you see this being transformed into something of a visual medium?
Well, it certainly um, has enough visual in it to be a movie. I mean, if
Have
that's what you mean.
Have you seen the movie in your own mind as you were writing the book and maybe
Yeah.
rereading
Oh,
it?
yeah. That's actually how I write anything.
That's
I'm,
cool.
I'm seeing, I see the scene as it's unfolding,
Oh,
and then
man.
I try to match what I'm seeing with words.
So you would have to be the director.
And maybe I can't imagine directing anything, quite honestly. Writing a book is hard enough. Directing it would be so stressful.
Well, we're glad that you took the time and the energy to put this together because there are times when we need distractions. We really do. And and it's any time in our history. I know that there's that Chinese saying, "May you live in interesting times."
That's a
What
curse,
time in
actually.
human history hasn't been? I mean, really, it's not
The
boring.
90s, the 90s, maybe.
Okay, all right. I suppose also you could talk to some people and even say that the 70s was little milk toast of some sort. It all
Yeah,
depends upon where you live. But
yeah.
thank you for putting this together and for being on the program and sharing your insights.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
I have three final questions that I ask all of my guests. I'll ask those of you in just a moment. But first, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are podcasting on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and we're on YouTube where you can watch these conversations. And we hope that you will subscribe and click notification. We also ask that you go to Amazon and get a copy of my book, Choices: 5 Steps for Life. It is available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And if you can leave us a tip, we would be gratefully appreciative. It doesn't have to be 20% because 20% of nothing is nothing, but we ask that you can support us. We would appreciate it. We have a PayPal account. That's the name of our tip jar. So when you go to richarddugan.com There are links at the top of that page to Amazon for the book choices and to PayPal for a tip if you can do so. And then we ask that you take some time during this, the decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to spend some time going within and listening to that still small voice. And with all of that being said, we move to our final three questions. And the first of those is, who is Mark E. Scott?
Um, wow. Okay. That's that is unexpected. Who am I? Well, it, I'm a guy just trying to live a dream, put it that way. And I knew what the dream was for many years, and it took me many years to actually start living it. So, and hopefully along the way, I'm having a good time.
What gets you up in the morning?
Fear, anxiety, hunger. Um, yeah, I just desire to do something with my day other than to lay in bed.
And finally, what was your best day?
My best day. There's been so many, truly. Probably when my first child was born.
Well, Mark Scott, thank you again for joining us here on the program. It's been a privilege to get to know you as well as the work that you're doing through the book, which is entitled, ladies and gentlemen, King of Peru. Go to markescottauthor.com. We'll be linked to that website. And until our next broadcast, podcast, video cast, love to all. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for letting me be in your life and being in mine. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.